Yep, you're live now.
Okay. So, continued budget discussions.
Morning, Council.
Morning.
So after the discussion we had a week ago, we took some of your comments, or well, we took all of your comments. And as necessary, we received them all, thank you. And for the ones that would have a direct impact on the budget, we've incorporated those into the budget document presented, modified it, provided it back to you. I'm not intending to go through all 90 pages again today. However, there are changes on a number of them already flow through. So I think best to start just on page 3. I've added a page there for just to summarize the changes that we've made since the discussion last week. And that would include some capital budget additions for the speed radar units. That's 7 of them, 1 for each district at an estimated cost of $10,000 each. That is to be funded by gas tax. That's reflected in the capital budget. The 6 welcome signs is at $5,000 per sign budgeted, again in the capital budget. This one would be funded from the wind energy reserve, the economic development portion of that. We added an additional contingency expense amount to cover the discussion around the building inspection training position. So that's an additional $50,000 added to this year's contingency budget, which is to be funded from the general operating reserve, similar to the existing $50,000 contingency there.
I'm sure that 50K is going to be enough, really. There's somebody.
The intention there is just to cover the first year's portion of that. So with the understanding that on an ongoing basis, that would likely be more expensive, but to cover the amount for the first year that was considered an estimated ballpark figure.
By the time we come back to council or figure out what that position is,
Yeah, we're at half the year.
recruit it half a year. Yeah.
To the previous discussion before break, we did add an amount to budgeted grants for the Arts Center. I understand there is some more discussion to be had there, but
There's no harm in adding it to the budget.
The document-
We just got to figure a policy.
the document as it's presented to you here includes a $25,000 budgeted grant to the Arts Center. With the first year, the current 22-23 year, to be funded from the wind energy reserve economic development portion. And then for the intention of future years to be funded from base operating funds, as general budgeted grants are.
No, putting it in the budget doesn't do anything until we sort that out.
I know, but if we're approving the budget.
You're not approving the expenditure, you're only proving that it's in the budget.
Okay.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, one other, go ahead, I want to add something, this page.
Okay.
Okay, additionally, we've changed the EDU rate for sewer service. It's changed from that 675 to 676.65. That's to reflect the 4.1% increase. And then also changed that one streetlight area rate from the 8.1 cents down to the 2.2 cents from previous years. So yeah.
Derek.
Yeah, there was also a discussion, I don't know if we got to the point where we put it here, about budgeting an amount for, I think it's going to raise it on trails.
Yeah.
Like a $25,000 amount. Is that sort of something still for discussion?
Well, that's one where I believe we were going to do a workshop on just how are we dealing with all that, you know, and what makes it eligible, what doesn't, and all that. That's that maybe I got that wrong.
That's exciting. I'd love to see the workshop. That would be very exciting and I would welcome that. But similar to the discussion that we just had a couple statements around no harm in adding something to the budget. Just have to figure out a policy, and that was the Art Center. And the fact that we could add very easily an amount, having the workshop.
Again, I have no issue with
Okay,
adding
great.
$25,000 to the budget. It's just that it's not approved until we come up with some kind of a darn way in which we're going to deal with this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think it'd be a good idea to split it.
Yeah.
You know, with the
So
Yes,
I don't have a problem with adding.
it was her idea.
Tell me.
Kind of, it's her idea.
No, it's fine. We're a team here. Yeah, no, it's yeah, because again, there's.
It's a budget. I mean, everything in the budget doesn't say.
You don't have to spend it.
Yeah.
No, that's what I mean. You know, and in case you decide to do it, then it's there.
It's budget.
And we are going to study it and we want to be able to do it if we decide it's a good idea.
That's correct.
And I think the
Absolutely.
workshop's a fantastic idea because it's not just the money piece, it's around the capacity in our communities. And we look at Ascatagan Loop, the Western Shore area, the hinterlands of the Windsor Road, like in there, through there, so all.
Yeah, I just think we don't want to make some of the mistakes we've made in the past where we just approve it and then, okay, well, what was that based on? You know, is the next community, are they eligible or are they not? And all this kind of stuff. Just gonna sort it out. Yeah. So that won't
Okay.
change your overall anything.
All right.
No, that's good though. This is helpful.
Okay, so then the following, say 84 pages, 85 pages are all just updated versions of what you've seen before with the flow through of all these numbers as they are relevant to those pages. If anybody has any questions about anything on those, I'm happy to address. Otherwise, I'm going to skip right to the end here.
Page what?
90.
You know where the numbers are now, Derek, right? Me too.
Right back to-
Or that little
Oh,
circle.
that little circle.
I do.
It's the last page.
Required motions.
I didn't-
And this would be the required motions if council was prepared to approve the budget. These would be the motions that we would be looking for to be made today to approve that budget to go forward.
Okay, just to clarify.
Yeah.
Are we suggesting the tax rate will remain as is,
Yes,
which translates into an increase because of increased assessment of 1%?
Oh, sorry, of what percent? And are you asking in particular about it?
Residential and
the tax
So-
rates all remain the same. It's just the revenue increases because of increased assessment.
So residential, commercial,
and the amount of tax
resource.
rate paid, I don't know what that average percentage is. The actual taxes will be going up because assessments have gone up.
Oh,
Even though the rate stays the same, assessments go up. because their
That's right.
taxes-
So the three, primary tax categories, the resource, commercial, and residential. Just give me 2 seconds to do some quick math
Let's
here.
take it out. This is the one.
It's approximately an 8% increase over the prior year
in total revenue.
on those three high level, the big ones, yeah.
And that of course doesn't apply to everybody, 'cause some of them are capped and some of them are
Yeah,
New construction.
new
Was that the
construction.
question you had asked?
I understand. So, just reading one more thing. So, an average of 8% increase. Okay,
well, a
In
total of 8% increase, the average would depend, so there are new properties that have been included in the listing. The majority of properties would be, like residential properties would be under the cap. So it doesn't quite translate total to average like that.
Can we tell how much of the increase goes to non-residents or not?
No,
We don't have that
no.
detail. right
And,
now.
and to try to break it down to the ones that are capped and whose house actually increased in value and whose did not.
I know, we can't do individuals, I understand that. I just didn't know if we could do categories.
So we don't have a categorization for resident versus non-resident. That hasn't been a distinction that we've been, interested in knowing until just recently. Yeah.
So were you saying that assessments have increased, did you say 1% or 8% on average?
9%.
On the total assessed value of the properties of those three main categories has increased about 8%.
Oh,
But a
okay.
lot of it's new construction and things like
Yeah,
that.
so-
Or sales that, and then the house sold, so therefore the cap value changed and all,
So-
multitude.
The council, in the presentation on the budget a week ago, we did flag some numbers. I'll just get Tim to verify, and the tax bill increase on an average residential property. if
I'm
capped,
sorry, Jeff, where at what page?
It's.
I've got
is
it up on the screen.
Page
There.
Oh, okay, that's good.
page 4 of the new document, page 3 of last week's.
Yeah.
Right, so the average value of a residential property from last year, if it were capped, so someone who continues to own or resides in it, would be a $63 increase on their tax bill for the year compared to last year.
Which is about an 8% increase.
No, that's a 5.4%
5.4.
increase. That's where the cap is set this year.
Okay, so people are gonna be paying about 5.4% more this year than last
If
year.
it has, if it has.
Yeah,
And some-
That's really the number I was trying to get to.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, because.
Before we
You
go
know
further,
that.
can I get back to page 32 and 33, because I did ask to have the Salem Club added on their flashing beacons, and hasn't been added, then we agreed that we would
We
add it.
did agree to do that.
We did, yeah.
Page 32, 33.
And that was part of the revised ratification, something else.
So I didn't change the presentation. I'm sorry, that's an oversight on my part. I know that the operations group did take that in.
Well, it was just that because of the event going on in the Hubbard, if it's possible, and if TIR approves it, we agreed to add the Hubbard Sailing Club to add the meeting up there for this summer, because it's timely, I guess. That's why we.
So it should be added in, and it won't impact that.
Right, so that would be in addition to the capital budget,
Yeah.
if proportionally to the ones that were already there.
Yeah, Tina?
Thank you. So going back to the page 4 in the new document, 3 from last week, in terms of the taxes and the assessed values and so on. That is something that I've been asked just generally at the gas station and the grocery store. And I think it's because there are a few municipal units so far, I don't know how many people have approved their budget. HRM's was monumental the other day, of course, that 3% green tax. But people have been asking, knowing that the assessments are going up. And the fact that, we're not here to make money or lose money and all the above, and we're pretty healthy. So they're wondering if we are lowering our tax rate. And I said that I would hope that we would give consideration to that around our budget deliberations. So that's what I'm bringing to the table. Deliberation, consideration versus just whamming it through.
That's why I asked the question.
Yep, thank you.
I think CBRN reduced, did they this year in their budget?
Yeah, look at their tax rate.
Yeah, no, I know.
What does a cent mean in our revenue?
1 cent change, is approximately $169,000.
That's gone up a lot in the last couple of years, so.
I think what you gotta understand though, and I will just point this out, is that when our assessed value goes up, our contributions to education and things like that go up, which we have no control whatsoever. Just the province charges us based on assessment.
No, I understand that.
So we're not receiving most of that increase.
And the thing is, I think, and also I would emphasize that we're trying to do. We understand that we probably have an infrastructure deficit that we're trying to remedy, and we have to pay for that. So I just want to be totally transparent. That in fact, even though our rates not going up, the taxes are going up because the assessments have gone up.
Yes.
But
Our costs have also.
their costs have gone up. Just the policing budget, just as the education, like we understand those things, we have no control over them. There are things we do have control over. But at the same time, we want to make investments in infrastructure. We have to. We have a housing problem. The province's solution isn't going to work. But what we are proposing is going to be part of the solution, and we have to improve our infrastructure to get that extra.
It needs to be paid for.
And that's part of the reason that we have to, even though not increasing the rate, we are increasing taxes. But there are good reasons for that, and it's not.
Yeah.
I mean, we'd love to reduce, when the assessments go up, we'd love to reduce the rate. We're not increasing the rate, keeping it the same. It'd be nice if we could reduce it.
Yeah.
But can we then do these other projects if we reduce it? It's a long game we're playing here, I think.
It's a long game, yeah.
And the assessment is not our call.
No.
It's.
And we still have the large residential tax.
The tax rate is yes, absolutely.
We don't care really what, it doesn't really matter what the assessment is, it's what we set the rate at.
Oh,
And
yes.
as assessments go up, theoretically, the rate can come down,
Absolutely.
but it's not coming down in this case, and there are reasons why that I think we need to have on the record.
Yeah.
I remind people it's not an election year.
No, but I mean, inflation itself is 4.1%.
At least.
Our costs are going up relative to that.
Well, we're gonna go over that, I think, I feel.
One other question,
There's a lot of big increase.
one other question I have, we know interest rates are going up.
Yeah.
Worrying, how much is that going to impact on us and this budget if we were budgeting on the old interest rate structure, because I know there's some borrowing in here that we have to pay. The increase in interest rates, now half a point yesterday, it's probably going to go up another half a point in a month or two. So that's significant. Does that impact at all on our budget?
So, I mean, we have to make assumptions as to interest rates. Specifically, the stuff that's going to impact this year's budget would be the current offering of debt that we're taking out, like in the spring issue, the stuff that you approved a couple of weeks ago. So the impact of the shift recently is, I would not anticipate it to be hugely significant to the current year budget. Now, if that trend continues, as many are predicting it will have carry-on effects in future years, and some of the projected numbers may change going forward. However, all those estimates for debt servicing did include assumptions that interest rates were rising. So I mean, without seeing, like, once we get the new spring issue debenture for the landfill equipment that we're doing, we'll have a better idea of what the ongoing interest rates are now, and then can revise our estimates going forward. Until we have those specific numbers, I can't really say how much it's going to impact, but of course, rising rates will have an impact on the cost of debt servicing.
Andre?
I just wanted to, I didn't hear it, or maybe I just missed it. Did the, what is the darn thing? Not the flashing beacons, but the speed radars, are those,
Yes.
are those in the budget?
Top of it,
Yeah.
Okay.
70,000 there.
Yeah, estimated 10,000 for.
Anybody, any other questions?
Page 3 on the top of the page.
And it would also be included on page 75, the current year capital budget.
So somebody prepared to move, we accept the recommendations based on the revisions that we just made.
Two revisions were 25,000 trail program. I think we would say the source of funds for that would be operating reserve.
Yeah.
Okay. So that would increase the, that would be the number on the 2022-23 operating budget would be increased by 25,000. So it would be $29,366,000.
Sorry, what page?
This is on the last page, the motions. for the
Oh,
rate
okay,
setting
the last
and
page,
approval.
okay. Oh,
So that 29, what's that number again, Tim, please?
So it'd be 29,366,009.
Okay, and we're moving the rectangular rapid flashing beacon from 23-24 to 22-23 at the sailing club to try to align it with that international event this summer, and I'm just trying to find the price tag for that one. Is 28,358.
So that would increase.
That would increase the capital budget by 28,358.
that's what we don't get funded, which we're not sure of yet, right?
Yeah, that's okay.
That's what we 28,000 is the total cost, so it increases the, regardless of the source of funds, it increases the capital budget. Yeah.
Yeah, Andre?
I'm just gonna say, if part of this budget also deals with the landfill, shouldn't we have our in camera and talk about all that? Because it seems like it relates. And then come back and do the.
Well, okay, yeah, that's it, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Well, I guess I just. We got to build it.
I think we should talk.
Spoke to.
Okay, so we'll put that off then. So we're done with this and we'll move on to the in-camera stuff.
So we're not doing the budget right now?
Well, until we have the capital piece associated with the landfill, which we're doing in camera.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
and on
forgot
page
about
3, we do have a figure there at the Art Center 25, which I appreciate you put that in, but then we discussed 30 today. I know it's still up in the air, but we put 30 down today, so. Or we discussed 30,000 today, right?
Well, I threw it out there. but-
Oh, okay,
25 is what's.
okay,
I think if we could get 25. I think maybe.
okay, yeah, no, it's. Go back.
25 is a push.
Okay, so where am I? So that's it for open session for the moment. So we need a motion to go in camera.
Second.
Discussion?